Yo guys, welcome back to Leadfoot TV. Today I am just going to do a little buyer's guide on K11 Micras. As you can see, the weather's terrible. It's probably not the best day to be filming a video, but it's freezing cold and really foggy. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a little buyer's guide on K11 Micras. So K11 Micra is basically covers every single. So there's three facelifts in the K11 Micra. So you've got the pre-facelift, a facelift, and then a second gen facelift. So basically I'm going to cut this buyer's guide will be the same for all of them because there isn't actually very much difference between any of them anyway. So this is like 1992 to 2002 Micras basically. So depending on what country you're on, some countries they ran them for like till like 2010 or something crazy. So yeah, basically yeah, there's three generations of the K11. So I'll stick up on the screen now. This one's a pre-facelift. You can generally tell by the headlights are a lot different shape from the other two. They've got smaller headlights in, and then this one here is a first generation facelift. You can tell because the headlights are a lot bigger. The other difference with the rear lights had clear inserts and stuff in them, so they just look a bit more modern, I guess. They updated the interior slightly. They put different steering wheel in and stuff like that. And then this is a second gen facelift, which looks quite similar, but it has the one way to tell is it has clear headlight lenses. So like the lenses are literally clear plastic. There's no like lines or grooves in them. They look a lot smoother. And yeah, they generally come with a coil pack engine in. So whereas the older two had a distributor with HT leads and stuff, these ones have individual coil packs on the spark on top of the spark plugs. So yeah, that's the three main Micras. I'm going to start on the inside in mine. Bear in mind mine has been stripped out and is turning into a race car, but I wanted to do this before I modified too much on it and you couldn't even tell it was a Micra anymore. So yeah, I'll flip the camera around now and we'll start walking through all the main problems on the inside. Not even just the problems, just things to look out for as well. So yeah, we'll do that now. So starting from the inside, one of the main things you'll probably notice between different Micras is some of them come with a rev gauge and some of them don't. It's generally the sportier models that come with the rev gauges. So like the SR and the Super Sport on the pre-facelift, and then the facelift I think was an SI, which was a 1.3. That came with a speedo. There's probably a couple of others, but there's so many different specs on these Micras. Like some of them you'll get will come with electric windows like this one has, and some of them will be manual windows. Some will come with a sunroof like this one does, and yeah, some of them will just be tin top. So it's worth asking what you yeah, it's worth asking about what it has if you're not sure before you go to have a look at it. You generally don't really have any problems with the electric windows. They're well, they're Japanese, aren't they? So Japanese electric windows never seem to go faulty. So it's having electric windows isn't a downfall. They are actually reliable. Nothing ever goes wrong with them, and which is more than could be said for the sunroofs. So the sunroofs do cause a problem. Generally, they start leaking like mine does. It's a bit of a problem because you'll tend to find if it's got a sunroof in, it's more likely to be rotten on the sills because the drains from the sunroof drain into the sills, and that tends to make your sills rusty at the back, which I'll show you in a bit because mine are rusty as hell. So yeah, there's that. And they tend to leak through the seal. So when I set off in the morning, a lot of the time I'll set off and water will pour out the back corner of here and onto my seat, which is why I've not put my new seats in yet, because I want to get rid of my sunroof first so I don't wreck my new seats. So that's one thing to look out for. If it was me, I would try and get one without a sunroof if I was going to do it again. But you tend to find that the ones without the sunroofs don't have electric windows either, which, to be honest, would have been a lot better for me. But I just literally picked the first one that I got hold of. So yeah, that's the main things from the inside. The other thing that you probably will have seen me upload a video of a few weeks ago is the fans. This is one thing to look out for, because it's a dead easy fix, but if it doesn't work, basically what happens is the fans only work on full speed, and it's basically, the problem with it is a resistor behind the dashboard. It's a dead easy fix, but if it doesn't work, it's something that you can barter the price down with, because it seems like it's a lot more serious problem than it actually is. So I did do a video on that a couple of weeks ago, so I'll stick it up at the top of the screen now, and hopefully that'll help you fix it if you manage to find one that's got that problem, because it is a very common problem. Yeah, like I say, basically it'll work on full speed, but none of the other fan settings will do anything. So that's something you can barter the price down with, and it's a dead easy fix. It costs about £8 for the resistor. So the other thing is, look out for rot. It's dead easy for me because I've taken the carpet out, but you tend to find they rot in the corners of the floor pans. It's not that common, but if you get a really rusty one, it's worth getting up underneath and having a look at the corners of the floor pan. So there, and like here as well, and then the same again in the back. That can be a problem. And I think that's it for inside. They all come with like different interiors. You tend to find that they come with all these weird patterns and stuff. And the back, not all of them come with the pop-out windows. I don't know if you can see the latch there. Some of them just have fixed windows, and some of them have pop-out windows. And yeah, another thing I always think is good to look out for is obviously mine doesn't have a spare wheel or anything in the back at the moment, but just make sure your toolkit and your spare wheel and everything is in there, because again, it's quite important to have a spare wheel if you get a flat tire and stuff, and have the toolkit, because there's no point in having a spare wheel if you can't get the wheel off. And if it isn't there, that's another thing that you can use to barter the price down, and it's dead easy to sort out. If you want to, like later down the line, you can just go and pick up a toolkit and a spare wheel for it. So that's everything for inside. I'll jump out now and we'll have a look around the outside, because that's where the majority of the issues are. And yeah, I'll just show you because I actually have nearly all of the major serious problems with Micras on this car, so which is why I've decided to film it. So I'll jump out now and I'll show you everything. So under the bonnet, there's no major issues really. Like I said before, the pre-facelift and the first facelift will come with a distributor ignition with the HT leads. The second facelift is individual coil packs. So that's one way to tell between the facelifts. And there isn't really anything to mention on these. They're so over-engineered for the kind of car. Like, generally when you buy a small car, they're made cheap and the engines are pretty naff in them. They usually be like 3-cylinder or something like that. So these are well over-engineered for what they are, I always find. So you've got twin cam, 16 valve, multi-point injection, timing chain, so you don't have to worry about timing belt changes, which is I think the engine makes them the ideal first car, because they take very little maintenance and they're almost impossible to kill. So if you're looking for a first car and you just want something cheap and easy to run, and I think you can make them look quite cool. Like, when I first started getting into Micras, they were so uncool, nobody liked them, but I've always loved them just for the simplicity of them, because I'm a mechanic. The last thing I want to be doing when I come home from work is fixing my own car, so yeah, mechanically nothing has ever gone wrong with this car, or any of my Micras, in fact, really. I don't think I've ever had an engine problem with any of my Micras, and I've had 6 so far, so they are an awesome option if you want something nice and simple for your first car. But yeah, like I say, they're so over-engineered. They come in a 1 litre and a 1.3 in the pre-facelift and the first facelift, and then the second facelift will come as a 1 litre and a 1.4. So yeah, they're the differences, and there isn't really any common problems under the engine bay. Just do your usual checks, make sure the head gasket hasn't gone or anything like that, which isn't a very common problem, but it does happen because it's an old car, especially if you've got like a pre-facelift. These cars are like nearly 20 years old now, so or more than 20 years old, some of them. So just do your usual checks, make sure it's got plenty of oil. It's worth making sure it's been serviced properly, because obviously it's on timing chain, so if it's not had oil changes regularly, that you've got a chance that your timing chain might start rattling and stuff. So just make sure it's had oil changes and everything when it's meant to. The only real problem I ever come across in these is you'll probably come to some of them and find that there's a bit of tape over here. Basically, these header tanks are really brittle, and if I pushed hard enough now, my finger would probably go through the bottle. As you can see, there's little cracks here. I'm going to change mine, so I will stick a video up on the channel soon about how to change these. But they're dead cheap. I think they're like 15 quid on eBay for a brand new tank, and yeah, they're pretty easy to change. But that's one thing to look out for. Just they can crack, and sometimes it's not too bad. Like people tape them up and it's okay, but other times you'll go around a corner and all your water will pour out. So that's one thing worth mentioning. The other thing is the bottom of the slam panel. Is it slam panel, cross member? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, just check for rust in the top of here. This is a really common problem. If you ever get one of these, it's well worth taking the bumper off and just undersealing that bottom panel, because it rusts like crazy. Mine is actually rotten underneath. I will go underneath in a second and show you how bad it is, because it is pretty bad. So mine's really bad. I only noticed this the other day, because they have a plastic panel that runs across the bottom of the car, and I took it off just to save weight, because I don't really need it, because I'm racing my car. And when I took it off, there was a massive hole underneath. So as you can see there, that's a pretty impressive hole. Yeah, here, that's not meant to be there. So yeah, that needs replacing. It's a bit of a pain as well, because you have to drill the whole slam panel off the front and spot weld it all back on. So that's really something you should definitely check. There's normally a plastic, as you can see, there's a hole there. That's where the old plastic panel used to bolt on, and what happens is the plastic panel holds the water, because it's not tight up against the frame, so it pulls the water against the frame, and then that's what makes it rust. So if you've got tools with you, it's definitely worth pulling that plastic panel off, just to make sure it's not rotted through. To be honest, if it's rotted through underneath, it's not as big a problem, because the plastic panel covers it and the MOT tester won't pick it up. So it's not as bad if it's underneath, but if it's on top, it definitely needs sorting. But either way, you don't really want to buy a car with a hole in it, so just check underneath as well. Right, we'll go around the rest of the car. So other things to mention are the door handles. These are really common. As you can see, I've got a big crack on mine down here. What happens is they crack and then eventually it'll crack that way, and you come to it in a frosty morning, the door's a bit stuck, you'll pull the handle and it'll just snap off, and it's really annoying. They're quite awkward to change as well, so that's definitely worth looking out for. If it's got a crack in or something, it needs a new door handle on it, basically. I will do a video on how to change the door handles when I get round to doing mine. And yeah, so that's one thing you can barter with if there's a problem there, because it does need replacing, because it will eventually snap off, and then you're stuck with one door handle and you have to get in your passenger side. So yeah, and then the real main problem on these cars is rust, as with any Japanese car. So as you can see on mine, where are we at? There's a hole developing here, and this whole sill's really soft. I'm gonna put 2 replacement sills in it and just replace them all together, so that it's all fresh metal. But that is very, very common, especially if you've got a sunroof. Like I said before, the sunroof drains down here, so that's what causes all the rust on the sills. I'm going to pull my sunroof out so that when I change the sills it doesn't do it again. But yeah, that's one of the main issues. I'll show you the other side. The other side isn't actually quite as bad, but yeah, this one's not as serious, but I'm just going to replace both at the same time anyway. So one thing to do when you get them is, if you've got a clean one, underseal it as soon as you can. This one has been undersealed a long time ago, but I think it's just not been kept on top of. So yeah, underseal them and it will make your car last a lot longer. Yeah, I think that's everything really. There isn't any other major problems. Yeah, that's everything. So mine is a pre-facelift. I've got different lights on the back, so you probably can't tell from the back, but yeah, so mine's a pre-facelift with the smaller headlights, just to give you an idea of what a pre-facelift and a facelift looks like. Another thing worth mentioning is just check the radiator. So a lot of the time on these, a lot of the fins will be missing out the radiator. If the fins are missing, it needs a new radiator in it, so just bear that in mind. And yeah, I think that's everything. There's not really anything else that's worth mentioning. Obviously, just do your typical stuff that you would do when you go to buy a car, like just check your tyre. Tyres have got plenty of life left in them. Just anything that might fail its next MOT, I guess, is something to look out for. Just typical, like making sure it's got enough oil, water. Yeah, just typical things you'd look when you went to buy any car. But they're the main Nissan specific problems to look out for. And if there's anything else you want to know, just drop it in the comments below. I do try to answer every question I get on the channel, so yeah, just fire away and I'll do my best to answer. And if the video's helped you out, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more micro content. Peace out.